Mr. Chairman, in the first place, we are all moving towards digitization of or automation of revenue generation channels. And therefore, the first solution will be to digitize all revenue generation or revenue collection points at the MMDAs. 2, Mr. Chairman, we must deliver open and accountable governance where chiefs, opinion leaders, and people residing in a particular jurisdiction of a district assembly will be aware of 1, revenues generated from their electoral areas, 2, revenue generated from their district assemblies, 3, how those revenues have been applied to the various contracts that have been awarded. If we practice a bit of accountability, Mr. Chairman, I think it will go a long way to improve upon the revenue generation of the MMDAs. It should not be a one-man job. It must be a participatory service in nature.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Honorable Leader, I want to find out from you if you will consider recruiting more revenue collectors to support in revenue mobilization. I speak as a typical example, citing my municipality, the Adikotopon. It's a big place, and I believe the revenue collectors there are not enough to be able to go around to collect the revenue to be used by the assembly.
The Chairman, having been a long-standing member of the local government committee, there was a particular exercise where we embarked upon a field work to go to the various MMDAs and identify how much IGF, internally generated fund, they've been collecting annually. The Chairman, it will surprise you. The staff, the amount spent on the revenue staff is more than the amount that is used to pay them. Most of the assemblies. And this was one of our fundings. And therefore, a lot of recommendations were given. And I think the report was taken on the floor of Parliament. And the records are there. So the issue goes beyond just recruitment. Secondly, in that report, we suggested that we employ a number of national service personnel as seated in Accra, some as receptionists, and their services are being needed in most of the MMDAs to collect revenue. So, Mr. Chairman, beyond waiting to get financial clearance from the Minister of Finance to employ revenue collectors, we may have to visit the side of going to the National Service Secretariat, asking for national service personnel and giving them to the various MMDAs, charging them with the responsibility that those who will be so hardworking to be able to collect more revenue to the assembly during their national service time may be recommended for recruitment into this area of revenue collection. If those measures are taken, Mr. Chairman, I think it will help to improve upon the revenue collection of the various assemblies. Because once you employ the person and tell him that you are a full-time revenue collector, the person goes and become, excuse me to say, I don't want to use the word lazy, refuse to work as hard as the commission collectors. And this is the more reason why we must engage national service persons, charge them with responsibility, motivate them with the opportunity to be retained. In that regard, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, I believe will help solve the problem.
Still have the last question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Leader, my last one is, I believe in your capabilities, and I know you are going to work well as the Minister Designate for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. And I trust that you are going to work with our chiefs and religious bodies to ensure that we continue to enjoy the peace that we are enjoying. And I believe that with the Chieftaincy institution, you are going to keep an eye there, and whoever will represent you on that front will give you proper reports so that wherever there are issues, we'll be able to resolve them. On this note, I want to congratulate you again, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, my good sister, Honorable Rita Odolesoa.
Thank you. It's now the turn of Honorable Patrick Yaobuama.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and congratulations to my good friend and brother, and Eddie Obiensru.
Anyhow, thank you, my good brother.
Thank you. Ahmed, I can see a lot of prominent chiefs behind you, and your portfolio includes that of the Chieftaincy, our revered Chieftaincy institution, which is captured under Chapter 20 of our Constitution, 22. We have witnessed a lot of chieftaincy disputes in this country. Some resolved, some unresolved. Even if you look at the Chieftaincy Act of 1970, provisions were made for the traditional houses to settle disputes. Same repeated under the 2008 Act. The same definition for who a chief is retained, Asante and other paramount chiefs. Their designations and categorizations are there. If you go to the traditional judicial councils, I don't know if you have your Chieftaincy Act with you. Don't worry, I'll assist you. But from section 22 to 30, deals with the jurisdictions of the various houses of chiefs and judicial committees and their rules. The chiefs they don't earn any income. Even their lands, there are issues with other neighbors. Investors do have issues with them. They go and do all sorts of things there. The capacity of the judicial councils to even deal with matters affecting the institution down there, to the extent that they can't even afford the services of lawyers to handle matters for them. Because for them to be able to hire the services of lawyers to deal with issues relating to their paramountcies or schemes requires the services of very good lawyers to handle same. Some ought to be on retainer. How are you going to use your office to resource the various judicial councils to be able to recruit the right lawyers to deal with some of the matters affecting chieftaincy in this country? Because their positions are recognized by the Constitution and also the Chieftaincy Act. Thank you.
Thank you, my very good brother. This is a very sensitive area, but as you have asked, it was one of the concerns of the chiefs. In the first place, our distinguished and revered chiefs earn their place by birth. And therefore, as one of our recommendations or suggestions, thank God the chieftaincy ministry is now being merged, it's now taking its rightful position with the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. What we are going to do is to consider, liaise with whoever becomes the Attorney General and look at how best the Attorney General, together with our revered chiefs, can work together to improve upon the conditions of the lawyers of the Ministry of Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. With that, if the conditions appointment is being done by the Attorney General, the lawyers who are working at the Chieftaincy Judicial Committee and these things will have some sigh of relief, because they will be entitled to the conditions of service of the lawyers in the Ministry of Attorney General, the Attorney General Ministry. In that way, Mr. Chairman, I believe it will help to retain good and qualified lawyers to support our chiefs. 2, now that we are going to be privileged to establish our own university for local governance studies, one of the courses that are being suggested is that since our revered chiefs earn their positions by birth, it is the responsibility of the state, looking at the sensitive roles that they play, that we give them capacity building training by establishing a course in the University for Local Governance called Royal Academy of Chiefs, where the state will help or facilitate in training and organizing seminars and courses or capacity building courses for our chiefs by giving them the customary, taking them through the customary laws and those things. If that is done, Mr. Chairman, I believe it will go a long way to solve the problem that we have.
The Royal Academy of Chiefs, will it be a department or an academy?
Mr. Chairman, we have University of Local Governance Studies. This year's capacity will be built. Chief's capacity will be built. Mr. Chairman, if you can't, I'm not a lawyer, but when it comes to law, our lawyers will tell you that when it comes to customary issues, they need to be given special touch. And these are the areas we are going to bring together to form a course that we call Royal Academy for Chiefs.
Very well. Honorable Obama, your next question, if you have it. Okay, Honorable Obama, hold it up.
Chairman, I didn't want to do this, but let me. Honorable nominee, welcome.
Thank you, my good friend.
And congratulations. In other words, it will be a faculty for chieftaincy studies. In other words.
Mr. Speaker, that is why the lawyers are there. Because you'll be brought together for us to bring the various subjects and courses together.
Thank you very much.
For now, we just want you to know that we have
you have intentions to run a formal program for our chiefs and queen mothers.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for adding the queen mothers.
So, Honorable Obama, please go ahead.
Smart Ahmed. Ahmed, let me turn your attention to your party's manifesto. On, I think it's paragraph 6.31. Your intentions to upgrade. You have not been nominated. You can sit there and ask questions. Rocks in the page 181 of 200. You are proposing to set up, to come out with a formula to implement the plastic waste recycling fund under the Customs Excise Amendment Act. Do you know how much goes into the fund annually? And whether you have an idea of the proposed formula and its distribution? Because I'm sure you are thinking in the light of the DACF formula or the GET fund or the NHI formula with regards to this. But first and foremost, you need to know how much, because this is what you call the baller tax that you spoke against. And now in the manifesto, you are thinking of coming out with a formula under your waste management program, solid waste management program. I don't begrudge you, but I want to have an idea. Thank you.
The Chairman, that will fall under the jurisdiction of the Minister for Finance. Now that all the taxes are being considered and being realigned, so if you can give me the benefit of the doubt, let's wait for the Minister for Finance to bring the budget latest by next month or next 2 months. Then we'll see the way forward. Once this, for now, it is a policy. Once the calculations and the things have not yet been done, when the Minister for Finance bring it, you and I are here, and we are going to work together to know what to go into it. But for the record, you know, I thought you were going to credit me. We were all part of a 3-member